Hello all, I'm Sai and in today's video, I'm bringing to you my December 2024 reading wrap-up. I know that this wrap-up is very late into the month of Jan, but I filmed this video at the very end of December, okay? So it has been pre-filmed very well in advance and you'll probably be getting the January wrap-up just a few videos after this one. I managed reading a total of 11 books in December, of which I also have a few rereads. We have a total of 8 physical books and 3 audiobooks. So without any further ado, let's get into the books right away. Starting with the physical books as usual. The first book which I finished reading in December is probably the most disappointing book that I read in 2024 and in December obviously. And it's one book which I have been reading for 10 months, which I was reading for 10 months in 2024. And it is The Starless Sea by Erin Morgenstern. I started reading this book in February of 2024 and finished reading it only in the first week of December, which is a very long time to read a book of this length, okay? And it was definitely not worth it. The writing of the author is gorgeous, but the story is non-existent. The character just feels so dumb and there was no reason for the main character being the main character here. It just felt so dumb for me in many levels. But the ambience that the book gave, the vibes it has are just out of the world. And I hate myself for saying this, but I did not like The Night Circus. I did not like this one. But when the author comes up with her next book, I will definitely go forward and read it because I'm a sucker for this kind of writing. So even though that disappointed the hell out of me, even though I did not have high expectations regarding the plot, this was quite a bummer for me and I cannot believe that I will be reading the next book by the author when it comes out. So yeah, this one was a 3-star read for me. Next we have a non-fiction book which was the last book club pick for 2024 and it is Yes or No by Dr. Spencer Johnson, and this is a book on decision making. I made a review for this one, like for all the other book club picks in 2024. I'll link it in the description. You can go forward and check out the video. Now, in this book, the author basically helps us understand how to make better decisions. Not the best decisions, but just better decisions so that we can become better in our lives very easy. And to take these better decisions, there are only 2 questions that the author teaches us. The first question is for our head and the second question is for our heart. And each of these 2 questions are a combination of 3 questions each. So there are a total of 6 questions in here, but they are clubbed into 2 groups of 3 questions together. I know that it sounds a bit confusing when I'm saying like this, but go forward and read the book. It is very easy to read. Anyone who's a beginner can also go forward and read the book. If you're like 14 or 15 and above, this is one book you can definitely go forward and read. And if you're someone who feels that you are a very indecisive person, I think this book will be hugely helpful for you. It's not just helpful for making huge life decisions, but also the very trivial everyday decisions that we make. And sometimes we even get, very much confused for that, right? In order to save our time and help us make better decisions, those questions will help. And those questions are very easy that you can even write them in a card and keep them inside your wallet. You can take the card out of the wallet and read the question for yourself anytime that you want. It's that simple and effective a book, and I rated it 4.5 out of 5 stars. Next, we have a murder mystery book, and this one was such fun to read. I know that it sounds odd to say that a murder mystery book was so fun to read, but there's no other way to describe this book. It is very dark, but also super funny. Dark humor, basically dark humor, and it is How to Kill Your Family by Mackie. Now, in this book, we follow our main character, Grace, who's in prison right now, and she's in prison because she's basically a serial killer. Her and her mother were not treated well by the father's side of her family. And after the death of her mother, what Grace decides to do is she's going to con the rest of the people in her father's family and just bring them down by killing them one after the other. And she goes forward and does that. The book is basically just the main character plotting murders and murdering people. I know it sounds very dark and it is quite dark, okay? It is very dark. But the way in which the author writes it just makes it so much fun to read because she is very cheeky. The main character here is cheeky and she has such good dark humor. She has a really good sarcasm too. I know that I sound like a psycho when I say that this book is very funny to read, but trust me, if you want to go forward and read the book, you can give it a read. It will be so dark, okay? It will be so dark, but also really incredibly funny for the amount of darkness it carries. I very much enjoyed the experience of reading this book, and if the author has any other things already published, I want to go forward and give them a read. So I rated this one 4 out of 5 stars. Next, we have my most anticipated non-fiction book released from 2024, and I was putting off reading this for a long time, and I don't know why, okay? Because once I started reading it, I just flew through it. It's a huge book, and it is The Wealth Money Can't Buy by Sharma. I thoroughly enjoyed each and every chapter and word of this book. And Robin Sharma here has come back to his old school kind of writing where it is completely overflowing with positivity. If you want to start 2025 with a very power-packed, positive, happy, motivational read, The Wealth Money Can't Buy is definitely one you can go forward and try. It is a huge book, okay? It's nearly 400 pages long, but trust me, once you start reading it, you will just glide through it like butter on a hot pan, because each and every chapter here is very, very, very short, okay? Not even one chapter is more than 3 or 4 pages long. Almost each and every chapter is just 2 pages long, and you literally fly through it, okay? I remember I finished reading this book while I was working the whole week in just 4 days. Okay, I was reading it on my commute to and from work on the train, and I was astonished to see that I had finished reading this book so soon. Because you see, it is very huge. You can see that, right? But Robin Sharma just does magic here, like he usually does. I am so glad that I finished 2024 with this book, and it just elevated my mood for the new year on another level. So just as usual, I'm super grateful for this book from Robin Sharma, and I can't wait to read his next release. I am going to go forward and reread these two sometime in the future, and I want to annotate this heavily. Such a brilliant, amazing, inspiring book, and I rated this one 4.5 out of 5 stars. Next, we have a gothic slash horror slash fantasy slash historical fiction book. Okay, I don't know what to categorize this into, but it is very creepy and eerie to read. So you can read it during a cold season. Okay, it's still cold in here, right? So you can definitely go forward and read this book. It will creep the hell out of you. That's for sure. Keep that in mind if you're going to read it. And it is A Good House for Children by Kate Collins. Now, in this book, we follow two different families, and in both of these families, the female is the main character. Okay, the eldest female inside the family is the main character. So in the present, we have this woman named Orla, and she has 3 children and her husband who go forward and take this house. And there are some creepy, eerie things going on in the house, but anyone is not able to accept what Orla is feeling and seeing inside the house. And this story is happening in 2070. Exactly 30 to 33 years back, in 1976, in the same house, there lived another family of this woman named Lydia, and there were creepy things happening back then too, and the people were not believing Lydia when she said them out loud. What is actually going on in this house? Is it good for children or not? Is it good for anyone to live in? Is all what is answered in this book. It is very easy to read, and the author builds up the atmosphere really, really, really well. If you read this during a rainy day or a dark day outside, I'm sure you will be scared. I will be scared, I'm sure of that. This was much better than I expected it to be, and I remember I bought this book from Amazon just because it was available at a very cheap price. Definitely worth a read, and if you want to get a little bit scared and feel a bit creeped out and eerie, go forward and give this a read. I rated this one 4 out of 5 stars. Next, we have 3 books, all of which are rereads. I think I read fresh books in December until the 15th of December, and after that, I just went forward and did rereads. That too, I did rereads very, very little. Okay, I did not go forward and read full-fledged as I usually do. So, of these, the first reread is a non-fiction, and this is one book which changed my life, and it is The Power of Your Subconscious Mind by Dr. Joseph Murphy. I remember I read this book for the first time in August 2020, and I think that was one of the hardest times in my life. It was hard for everyone, right, because of the pandemic, and we were not used to that kind of normal back then. We were still 5 months into the pandemic, and my mental health was like in shatters. Okay, it wasn't crumbles here and there. But after reading this book, I was able to understand that I had to change certain things in my mind, and once I started doing it, I was able to see the reflection of it in my real world happening in my life. And I've been following so many things that I learned from this book till date, and they have been helping me each and every single day. It helped me understand my subconscious mind better. It helped me understand my higher self better. It made me even more spiritual and a bit more wise, okay? Wise for myself and to handle my own life. Each and every person's life is different, right? You don't have the same kind of life that I do, and I don't have the same kind of life that you do. Everyone has their own set of challenges. It is not right to compare anything with anyone else at all in any way. So when I see myself going on a negative thought spiral or trip, many things from this book just get triggered in my brain, and they help me to bring me to the present and give me the grounding that I need. I got the same kind of effect on rereading it too. So yeah, I'll definitely keep rereading this sometime in the future too, but not after 4.5 years like it has happened this time. It was just as good as I read it the first time, and I rated it 4.5 out of 5 stars again. The next one is a new adult fantasy book, which I read in 2024 only. I read this in May, and I was a bit sad that I did not read this during the winter season or rainy season. So I thought, why not reread it now? Because it was very good when I read it the first time itself, and it is A Study in Drowning by Ava Reid. Now I have another book by this author, which I'll be featuring in a book haul very, very soon in the channel. Or it may be out by now, I don't know. So in this book, we follow our main character, Effie, who's in an architecture college, because in this world, women are not allowed to study literature. But she's super brilliant, smart, and she's not interested in architecture, basically. She wants to get into the literature college, and she has this favorite author too. Because of some reason, she gets this chance to go and live in the manner that the author lived in after his death, and make some kind of research about it. After she goes there, many things get revealed, and this is just really, really good. I thought this was a standalone fantasy book, and it does read like a standalone fantasy for sure. And later on this year, after this reread only, I got to know that there's a sequel for this one coming out in August of 2025 this year. So I'll definitely be picking up the sequel when it comes out. And I'm so glad that I reread this one too, because it's much more fresh in my memory right now. I want to read more from this author because I love her writing style very much. It's just so atmospheric and, not way too descriptive or boring, or she doesn't write words just for the sake of writing them. There's a lot of intent and purpose behind the words that she writes, and I like that kind of writing very much. So this was much better the second time that I read it than the first time, so I ended up rating this one 4.5 out of 5 stars. The last physical book and last physical reread of 2024 was Legends and Lattes by Travis Baldree. This is again a reread. I read the book for the first time in 2023, I think August, and I liked it very much back then. But on the reread, it felt like it lost a little bit of the luster that it had back then. So I brought this book down from 4.5 stars to 4 stars now. And the reason why I read this in specific rather than any of the other books that I have on my shelf for this period is because I am planning to read the prequel for this one, which is Bookshops and Bone Dust in Jan 2025 itself. So if I read this one, it will be a bit more fresh in my memory. So I went forward and gave it a read. It was nice and fun, but it did not appeal to me as much as it did the first time. I hope the prequel of it does, because if it doesn't, I'll be quite pissed, because that book was a little bit expensive than I thought it would be. Still, it was not a bad book. Okay, it just did not live up to the expectations that I had built in my head after reading it for the first time. If you're looking for a nice, cozy, low stakes, no tension fantasy, definitely one you can go forward and pick up. So as I said before, I rated this one 4 out of 5 stars. Moving on to the audiobooks, I listened to a total of 3 audiobooks, and all 3 of them are non-fiction. 2 are new reads and the one is a reread. The 2 new reads are from Dr. Joseph Mackie. After finishing The Power of Your Subconscious Mind, I wanted to go forward and read something fresh by him. So these are the 2 books which I listened to. As audiobooks, I think they are hardly like 1 or 1.5 hours long each. And they are How to Attract Money and How to Use Your Healing Power. Both of these are different books. I'm talking about them together because they deal with the same concept, which is the power of the subconscious mind here. I've been learning a lot energetically how to attract more money in 2024, and this book was a good addition to that knowledge which I have acquired over the year. So in this book, the author basically talks about, just like any other person who talks about attracting money spiritually, that it is just a kind of energy, but he has his own approach towards it using the subconscious mind again. How we can, just program our mind and make it familiar and easy to attract money into our life, and to change our belief system about money, how to change our outlook towards world and the people who have more money than us. All those things were really nice to eat. So that's what was covered in How to Attract Money. And How to Use Your Healing Power, this was basically a collection of so many different incidents that the author has gathered over his years for research from the people whom he interviewed and spoken with. I'm sure that many people have heard stories like this one in their real lives, because they do happen across the world, and I'm sure that all of us have seen at least one miracle happen to some person without any kind of explanation at all. And the power behind all that healing happening physically in real time for us is because of the things that are going on in our mind. The author expresses that also here using the concept of the subconscious mind, and it was nice to read. I'd not say that both of these books provided anything much higher of value as The Power of Your Subconscious Mind did to me, but they are still really decent positive books. And if you're a beginner when it comes to spirituality or learning more about your mind in a spiritual way, these 2 books would be really good picks to start with. I rated both of them 4 stars each. And at last, we have one of the most popular books on the planet, and it is The Secret by Rhonda Byrne. I listened to the audiobook of this one, and it is available on YouTube itself. I listened to it on YouTube only. After listening it again, I also listened to it on the first time. Okay, I did not read it physically. I did the audiobook just like this time. And that one also I read it way back in 2020. So it's been again 4.5 years since I read it, like in the case of The Power of Your Subconscious Mind. If The Power of Your Subconscious Mind helped me to understand my mind better, this helped me to understand that each and every one of us is special, okay? And anything that we want, literally anything that we want, whether it is good or bad, positive or negative, whatever kind of label that we put on it will happen to us. And the special thing about The Secret is that anyone who reads it will feel and understand how special they are in this world and how much necessary each and every one of us is for the running of this world, okay? It just felt very personal a book to me, and anyone who reads this, I'm sure, will be able to connect with their deepest self, with their own most authentic original self inside. And it is such a nuanced book, okay? It just doesn't talk about visualization and making your thoughts positive alone. It has so many other layers, okay? There are so many people who have come in and put in their own thoughts, efforts and input for this book, which makes it even more special. I have not watched The Secret movie yet. I might watch it sometime in the future, but I can easily say that this needs to be in my collection. I don't know why I don't have a physical copy of The Secret yet, but I will purchase it sometime soon. It is definitely such a positive, uplifting book. So If you want to make January even more special and, power pack for 2025, and if you have not read The Secret yet, it's high time that you go forward and read it because it will change your life. It has changed mine. It's obviously a great read, and I rated this 5 out of 5 stars. So yes, guys, those are all the books which I managed to finish reading in December of 2024. And 2024 as a whole was a really solid, great reading year for me. And I'm pretty sure that 2025 is going to be much better than that because I have a huge collection to pick from right now. If you did find this video useful and enjoyable, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. And if you want to get more content from me, do subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching and have a great rest of your day.